This video is about my official stance on what type of person is ideal and who is the most ideal ever possible. Because of the false idols and false leaders, right? The word idol is like the word ideal, and they're idolizing false idols. Some have to do with scientists like Tesla, politicians, so-called martial artists, military figures, even WrestleMania figures, entertainers, artists, religious figures. So this video is very important because it makes it clear why Christos means anointed and who's the King of Kings and who's just a false idol. So point number one is that the top martial artist ever possible, which is me, is the ideal. And my top martial arts challenge overkilled it. If you saw me training, you could just take one look and you know that I'm the top martial artist ever. And if you saw what's going on during the time period of, say, 2009 to 2023, about to turn to 2024, you'd see that they're sabotaging people with an emphasis on me, and they've edited my videos and tried to make my moves look weird, and they confused you about which videos where I was proving that I was fumed and poisoned when doing martial arts that showed that I was clearly struggling, and which videos were top martial arts quality. And they slowed down videos. I think one video they might even have sped it up. I think it was the sparring video with the last challenger for the purpose of confusing you, because it's harder to see who scores when we speed it up to a certain degree. But you can still tell with the ones with the pictures and so on and so forth that I obviously won, and won by far. Okay. So they did immature stuff. We'll get to that point. So point number one is the top martial arts ever possible, as proven through character, as proven through my top martial arts challenge, at a time when there's almost 8 billion people on the planet, and there's all kinds of immature people, controlling reproduction. You can't control reproduction to the degree that they are and then turn around and say, hey, somebody like you or someone in your offspring is magically the best. That is laughable. That is disgraceful. That is pathetic. And there's more than one reason why they've resorted to doing kind of circus martial arts like Cobra Kai, Mr. Ken, Ginger, Scott Adkins, what have you, right? When you look at all movie stars, they're variations of circus martial artists. If you haven't heard it before, keep in mind you heard it here first. They are not serious. CL-own, instead of following God's son, me, they're following their own, right? Their own social club, their own race, their own nation, whatever it may be. So my first point clearly clarifies that it isn't a scientist. My goodness, how much evil they contributed to, and they don't have a spiritual power. It isn't, a rich person. I mean, my goodness, imagine someone thinking that a rich person magically is freaking ideal. That's laughable. It isn't some artist. It isn't somebody who does moves that looks cool. It's the guy who's actually the top martial artist ever possible. The heart of hearts. Martial is marital scrambled. Okay. Psalm 19, the bridegroom, the champion. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. Exodus 15:3. Exodus 3:14, I am that I am. And we'll get into that in all these other scriptures, a lot of these other scriptures, when I make my official stance on why I'm Christ and why it's obvious. Not only am I Christ, but it's obvious, and people are playing stupid. This leads me to my second point, character. The words character and characteristic are connected. So what are the characteristics of the top martial arts, right? He's got to be more agile, faster, right? He's got to be smarter. He's got to have more heart to be able to outmaneuver everybody to the point where he can firmly declare by his challenge and otherwise, and of course, I'm talking about me, that he's the top martial artist ever. So speed, timing, focus, discipline, all these martial art principles, heart, judgment, sense, insight, wisdom, righteousness, justice, mental clarity, moral, mental, spiritual, romantic clarity, are basically the same thing. They're different aspects of the same thing. I'm not talking about some arrogant English person leveraging privilege. Why everyone's sabotaged after they sent waves of colonialism to sabotage everyone else. Says, yes, compare us now. Yes, how do I look now? Okay, that is silly. That is circus. That's foolish. That's childish. Really, really immature. That's very disgraceful. Or anyone else doing that, for that matter. So it is clear that I'm right about this. And anyone who doesn't know that, let's face it, no offense to anybody, but anyone who doesn't know that I'm the ideal and the top martial artist ever is a dumb fuck. Anyone who doesn't know that there's millions and millions and millions of jealous rich people who sabotage people to try to pretend they're superior with all the statues and all the paintings and all the expensive things they buy trying to feel important is really, really out of touch. So that leads me to my next point in this very brief summary of my official stance, is that immature people are persecuting me in many cultures. And again, one who's slack in his work is brother to one who destroys. Proverbs 18:9. So every other culture is sharing their guilt to some degree. Okay, so they're immature people doing things, using technologies, fumes, and poisons, trying to interrupt me, distract me. And I have countless videos that prove that definitively. And I've asked many, many people, and they all agree that yes, that shows gang stalking is occurring. Government harassment, textbook. Okay, this leads me to my next point. My fourth point is that they're even censoring free speech. They are so wrong, and I am so right, that they have to censor free speech. They create the straw men by sponsoring the far right and the far left, and then they try to make it so you can only make arguments toward the middle. Toward the middle is white supremacy, right? When the colonists came here, they were not far left liberals. They were not far right conservatives, so to speak. They were dead center. And the people they came across, a lot of them ended up dead after being killed by them. Raped, usually, quite often at least, and killed by them. So when these same people with the same kind of Enlightenment era philosophies, the same kind of liberal, conservative kind of center philosophies, same centrist philosophies, same governing class, Luciferian philosophies come here and like, hey guys, hi, we're going to censor free speech, everything but the neo-colonial philosophy that's dead center. Okay, you know that they're wrong. You know they didn't learn from history. Every generation, they failed to learn from history and then pass on those lessons to their children as governing class people, as people directing society to some degree in that sense. They kept not learning, so they never grew up. So, no offense to anybody, they're childish. So, no offense to anybody, but that's immature. Babylon, baby line, Rothschild, child. Is that wordplay a coincidence? They want people to say, hey, baby, how you doing? Calling people baby, right? You have cowboys. You have the redneck in popular culture. Boy! Yeah, boy. It's clear that they want people to be immature, like fairies. That's why they're called the Pharisees, and they code it in the story. And when you look around, you see a bunch of people dressing like they're little boys and girls. Okay, 1 in 6 little boys is sexually molested before the age of 18. 1 in 4 little girls. If I was in charge of a nation, that would not be the case. No way. There wouldn't be the type of cultures that allow for people to think that way, for them to even think for a moment that that's a good idea. But people who never grew up, who want you to follow them and their families, scientific racists, sexual sadists, control freaks, right? What does a control freak and a sexual sadist have in common? It's basically the same thing. Their lust for power and control made them want to punish people. Their sexual immorality made them some kind of a freak. It's like, Freddy Krueger mixed with Marilyn Manson. There's one serial killer called Gacy. Gay C. No offense to the LGBT community, but the LGBT movements are run by terrorist LGBT people who have defined LGBT thinking in a way that is psychotic, in a way that is self-destructive, in a way that is abusive, in a way that upholds child molestation, because they're playing a game of Where's Waldo. They say, there's not that many gay people naturally, right? 2%, right? 1 in 50 people. And you know that, 1 in 6 little boys are being molested. So 1 in 50 people are gay. 1 in 50 males are gay. And 1 in 6 little boys is molested. So they're like, woohoo, woohoo. And they want you to guess which one is which. They call it switchcraft and witchcraft. They say, which one? Which one? So when you're in submission as a straight person or gay person or anyone else to the elite that is LGBT and yoked to LGBT, you are in submission to pedos. Those who pretend that they're not are like the most guilty of them all in a sense. So yes, they're not ideal, and I am.